B, and the main stage, stage to stage. As you've already heard, the stages are separate, and therefore you want to make your decisions before you come into the stage as to who you want to listen to for a specific time period, because you're not able to listen to two at one time. And finally, just be aware that you can pull back the timing on the sessions. So if Dr. Campbell says something or Jennifer Slay says something that you really want to hear again, you can pull back the slider and hear it for a second time or for a third time, no matter how many times you want to hear it. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker here on stage B, Dr. Campbell. So Dr. Andrew B. Campbell, DR.ABC, is a graduate of the University of Toronto with a PhD in Educational Leadership, Policy, and Diversity. He's currently a faculty member with the Masters of Teaching program at the University of Toronto, and he's an adjunct assistant professor at the Queen's University as well. Dr. Campbell is a certified Ontario teacher, and he's been an educator for over 25 years within Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Canada. Dr. Campbell is with us today to discuss the process of finding meaning and purpose in your profession, and this is definitely a topic that is interesting for all of us, whether we're experienced or not. So, Dr. Campbell, I'll leave it to you to take over.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. We have 25 minutes to do this magic, which we're going to do. I want to thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be asked to speak to a group like this. When I got the email first, it is a lot of emails. But soon and very soon, I looked at the bottom and I had a conversation with one of the leaders, and I saw the acronyms BSA, ASA, and CSO. And immediately I knew my responsibility to you all. Immediately I knew my responsibility. BSA, Black Students Association. ASA, African Students Association. CAO, Caribbean, I think it's Caribbean Students or Caribbean African Organization. That one I need to make sure I get because I'm from the Caribbean, right? But today, today marks the start, Tuesday will mark the start of Black History Month. And as we enter into many conversations about, on our campuses and around the world, one of the major part of fighting anti-Black racism is supporting Blackness. The resistance, the revolt, the disrupting, the dismantling, and the demonstrations all have their power and their place. But sometimes we forget that the building of Black children and youth is most important. I remember one of the quote from Frederick Douglass reminds us it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. So for me, this is important. This 20 minutes is essential. It's necessary. It's mandatory. So when I was asked to speak to all of us today, and I said all of us, notice my choice of word, to speak to all of us, because I'm still speaking to myself, I asked myself, what do I talk about? Is it that I talk about independence or community? And I said, why can't we talk about both? And so today, I want to share with you 6 things from my own journey that I've used to navigate my personal life, my dreams, academia, my profession, my career goals, advocacy, and community. I want to be very clear on that, because sometimes we sectionalize ourselves in such a way that we forget we are a total being. And so we have to be careful that are we focused just on our careers? Are we focused just on community? Are we so focused on advocacy? Are we so focused on our professional ideas and our professional dreams that we forget the others, the personal life, the community, the dreams? And so I want to put it all together, and I want to share it with you very personal. This is very personal. I feel like I'm not speaking to you today as Dr. Campbell. I'm going to permit you, though I don't know you yet, or I haven't seen most of you, I want to permit you all and allow me to speak to you as like Uncle Andrew. So, you can say, yes, Dr. ABC was your guest speaker, but I'm speaking to you in the spirit of Uncle Andrew. Is that all right? We're going to do that. So the first thing is get to know yourself. Get to know who you are. And you may say, wow, What does that have to do with me being a neuroscientist? What does that have to do with me being a PhD candidate or an educator or a technician or whatever I want to be, a microbiologist, a surgeon? What does that have to do with that? Because too many of us, we do not spend the time to get to know ourselves. And what happens is that when we come to large universities like this one, Western, we are coming from countries in Africa. We are coming from islands and countries in the Caribbean. We are coming from other spaces, small community, rural spaces, urban spaces. We all meet in a space as big as Western University. It swallows us up, and we forget who we are, and it blurs our sense of self. I've seen a lot of students, undergrad and master's students, who are struggling in university, trying to find their self, their voice. I want you to be intentional as you navigate and journey at this university to get to know yourself. Take time to discover. University is a time to discover. All the amazing things you will discover. Ensure that you discover yourselves. Audre Lorde, one of those amazing leaders, says, if I didn't define myself, I would have been crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. And I want to say this to you. Every day I meet people who, they love DR.ABC. They love Dr. Campbell. They want to be a part of my circle and my life. And what they do, many people have fantasies of what I am, who I am, or what I should be. I remember, when the George Floyd conversation was very high, I think there were people who had fantasies of seeing me just on a march every single day. And I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am, Pam. I have a full life. When I'm finished advocating, I have to eat. I have to sleep. I have to take care of my skin. I have to love. I have to fall in love. I have to be an old person. I am somebody's brother, somebody's child, somebody's uncle, somebody's friend, somebody's lover, somebody's partner. And I want you to understand that. You have to take the time to know yourself. And another reason that many of you, 90% of your university professors are going to be white professors. And so you're being molded in a space that does not look like where you are from, or does not sell your story, or does not highlight your story. You have to know to carve out that space to make sure you intentionally know yourself. Spend that quality time to know yourself. The next thing I want is go after your dreams with passion and precision. I know a lot of you, this is what you want to hear. I want you to go after your dreams with passion and precision. And I know you may be saying to me, not the dream. You're using that word dream. Yes. What if I tell you I am living my dream? What if I tell you, speaking to you and speaking to an audience and getting, whether I'm volunteering to speak or I'm being paid thousands of dollars to speak, what if I tell you that was one of my dreams? I dreamt I was going to travel the world to speak. And it is still my dream because I have not traveled many places, but I've had a lot of opportunities to speak, and I'm still looking for more, and I'm still dreaming for more. I want you all to go after your dreams with passion and precision. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to live in my own home. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to have nice clothes like I saw the persons on TV had. I wanted to travel in a plane and maybe sit in the first class section. I wanted not to have credit food from the neighborhood shop like I had to do when I was growing up. I wanted to be the top of my game and not the very bottom like my mom. Amazing mom, but my mom was a practical nurse for over 30 years. And I always wondered, did my mother ever want to be the matron? I desire more. Nothing is wrong with desiring more. And I want you to know, let nobody tell you your ambition is too big. I have been to interviews and I've not gotten the job, and I'm smiling because maybe somewhere in the interview they realize in front of them is a powerhouse, and I was going to grow and I was going to run like an ivy all over the building, because that is my dream. I am not an in-the-box kind of person. I have jumped out of the boxes long ago. And I want to make this clear, and I have to bring this in. Because of my sexual orientation, I identify as gay. I was put in a lot of boxes, but I've jumped out of those boxes long ago. So I want you to do that. I want you to have those dreams, have your ambitions, have your dreams, have your goals. But here comes the big one. Here comes the big one. I want you to know there is no magic to success. I have to repeat it. There is no magic to success. You see those things on Instagram and social media. I'm not speaking to all of you. You live your best lives on Instagram. I do live my best life on social media as well. There's no magic to success. It takes persistence, precision, and a word you don't like, perspiration. It takes persistence, precision, passion, and perspiration. It takes work. There is no magic. The abracadabra many of you are looking for, it's in your hands. The abracadabra you are looking for, it's in your hands. The third thing, I want you to find your tribe. Connect to community. Way too many of you, our black young people, you are in university and you get lost in the big space. It swallows you up. And it takes you years to find yourself and your community. And sometimes the sad news is somebody has to remind you that you are black. I'm going to go there. Yes, I will. Somebody has to remind you you are black. Somebody has to remind you you are not white. Let no one have to remind you you are black. Let no one have to remind you you are not white. Because you have found your tribe. You know your tribe. You know your community. I'm talking to young people, so I have to push, I have to go there. Sometimes I've seen young people on social media, black young people, and every single picture, there's 100 pictures on their social media, and they are the only black one in every picture. What does that have to do with us, Dr. Campbell? We're at a university. We're living our best lives. We're going to be neuroscientists and doctors and professors and teachers and lecturers, because I have seen it. Old black folks struggling to find their identity, struggling to find themselves, struggling to find their tribe, struggling to find their community. You know the reason why? Because they have never taken the time to connect with their community. My community, I know my community, and I have levels and large community. No, I have many white friends. I know somebody's asking a question. Of course, I have many white friends, but my white friends know I'm black. My white friends are clear that I am black. Are yours? Are yours? This is what I prepared for you today, because I need us to understand, in my work of advocacy, I have seen a lot of persons fall down and fall away and break away and are stunted and taunted by these things, because they do not know their community. They do not know their tribe. And I want you to connect. Years ago, I did a workshop for the Harriet Tubman Institute. I did a niche program. And it was for black young leaders like you all. And 2 years after, I got an email from one of the leaders. And she said, "Dear Dr. Campbell, I'd love for you to be a keynote speaker at our conference. I have started a group, Black in STEM." And she wanted me to speak. I was so honored. I was so privileged. I was offered a good payment, and I said, no, this one is on the house. This is community. This is my investment. So I ask you all, How are you building community? How are you pouring in community? You need to know that. You are the future. My voice is going to be tired a couple years from now, and somebody else has to say this speech 10 years from now. Will you be that one? The next one I want you to do is to engage in self-advocacy. I want you to listen to me carefully. I know you're university students, and many of you, you're passionate about certain things. Right now, we can look, there's a bunch of stuff going on around us. You know, today is a Remembrance Day for the mosque in Quebec. Today we're talking about Islamophobia. Yesterday there was something to do with the remembrance of the Holocaust. We see people marching, going to the capital, and then in the middle of the march, we have seen white supremacy flags. So there's a lot to do. There's a lot for us to remember and be intentional about. But one of the things we have to do is to remember to self-advocate. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm a storyteller. I wish I had time to tell you all my stories. When I started University of Toronto in 2009, my PhD, I was assigned a professor. Years ago. Persons are gone now. And I shared with excitement. And if you get to know me, I'm excited about everything. Everything for me is an excitement. I'm very extra. And Something, I rushed to this professor to tell him all the ideas I had for my research. And he stopped me. He put a brakes on me. And he said to me, you are now in Canada. Because I wanted to research something about Jamaica, because I know the topic I wanted to research at that time, it was teacher performance evaluation. There was nothing. I know, because there was nothing. And I'm very privileged and happy to know my research, my PhD thesis is online and free. I made it free and accessible, and tons of people have cited it. How do I know? Because every now and then a professor will say to me, there's a lot of people citing your work, Dr. Campbell, in the Caribbean. And so I knew that this was going to happen. And so I wanted to talk about a topic that was necessary and needed. And I was shut down by that professor. And I said to him, but you all go to Africa and different places and different countries in Africa and the Caribbean and indigenous communities and do research. Why can't I do research about my own country? And somebody overheard the conversation, another professor, and stepped in and switched me. And I could tell you, today I have completed that research because I self-advocated. And the next thing I want you to do is to take up space. I want you to show up and take up space. We grew up, and many of us, including myself, grew up in the Caribbean in very Pentecostal Christian families. And one of the things we were taught was to be seen and not heard. We were taught that humility meant almost like taking ourselves away, right? We were taught that kind of stuff. And I've learned that is not humility. What we have been taught to do is to play ourselves very small. And I wish that the Caribbean and African pastors who are so wrapped up in religion would understand that they themselves are using the Bible to teach our young black people how to play small. I do not want to play small. I want to play large. I want to play supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, whatever that means. I want to play large. Stop playing small. This idea that we got, especially in the Caribbean, I am coming against it. I'm using church words. I am coming against it. Stop playing small. Take up space. Show up. Sit on boards. Sit on committees. Put your name forward. Nominate yourself. Stand up. Raise your hand. Open your mouth. Speak up. Show up. Turn up. And the last thing I want to say with you, with a few minutes to go, engage in consistent self-care. Coming back to Audre Lorde. And she reminds us that self-care is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And it is an act of political warfare. I have realized how important it is for me as a leader, as an example, as a mentor, as an activist, as an advocate, as somebody's child, as somebody's brother, somebody's uncle, to take care of myself. It's about preservation. I want to be well enough so I can be good enough. That's an original from me. I want to be well enough so I can be good enough. I'm going to leave you with that today. There's so many more things we could share, but I'm going to leave you with that. As you do your work, as you journey on, as you take up space at the university and be the magic that you are, I want you to remember, hashtag Black Joy, 365, 52, 12 weeks, 7 days, 60 minutes, 60 seconds. I want you to remember to love yourselves first and take that same love and care and give it to others. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share BSA, ASA, and CAO. My people, my black, young, old, middle age, whatever you are today. Thank you for having me. I think we have a minute for a question or 2 minutes for questions. Thank you so much for having me. Your mic is not on, Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you in two ways then. Thank you for letting me know that. And thank you more importantly for presenting.
Thank you so much.
We really, really appreciate it. So, as you mentioned, we do have a few minutes, maybe just a minute, for some questions. There was 2 questions here in the comments. One coming from Talani, and I think I'll read it out, and then we can propose it and put it on the stage. Well, here it is.
Yes.
So it can be so hard to really understand and trust your own voice, especially when you're the only outlier in a room, based on your race or gender or whatever it may be. Wanting to conform is definitely a struggle for a lot of people of color, especially in education, predominantly white faculties. But do you have any advice for being able to stand your ground and building that confidence up?
Ooh, powerful question. We have 40 seconds
to respond to that, or if you have a few words to say to that, that'd be amazing.
We have 40 seconds to answer the powerful question. Thank you so much, Talani. Thank you so much for